demonstrate how to make a hair bow. I'd be willing to bet that most people cannot go through an entire day without seeing a bow of some form somewhere. I feel like they're very common. You see them in like bow ties, when you tie your shoes, you make a bow. They're in many different shapes, sizes, colors, they're everywhere. And so I'm gonna demonstrate how to make a hair bow. The hair bow became most widely used in the beginning in the 18th century, and they were actually most used by men. Having big, extravagant hair was like a sign of superiority, and a lot of men wore wigs, and they would use a ribbon to tie their hair back to keep it out of the way. They would also use like bones or sticks in their hair to tie their hair back. And it was like very common that like the bigger your hair was, the better. It was just more important. Sorry. Also, it was a really common hairstyle for like soldiers when they would go like for war. They would wear it just tied back in a single ponytail, like at the bottom of their neck. They would use a ribbon just to tie it back that way. Women began wearing wigs more commonly in this, like around 1770, later in the 18th century. And they also wore bows in their hair, but they also used like flowers and fruit and stuff like that to decorate their wigs and their hair. The more decorated the hair was, it was also like a sign of like higher status or social status. In the early 1900s, they were very popular and worn by both sexes. And obviously they come in all different kinds of shapes and sizes. I have a few pictures of just different styles. I thought the one of Lady Gaga, the literal hair bow, was kind of cool. And then, you know, Minnie Mouse, her iconic bow that she always has. It's in France. It's still a common practice for boys to wear a ribbon bow in their hair. The way I started making bows was kind of not like a typical, I don't know, like I kind of came upon it in a weird way. We were living in North Carolina at the time. My husband and I had been there for about a year, and I was waitressing at the time, and we had actually been trying to get pregnant, and I've seen a lot of my friends who like were ordering all these bows for their daughters and stuff like that online, and like they were like obsessing over it, and they had like all these cute little boutiques that they were ordering from. And I, you know, trying to get pregnant, I was like, oh, that'd be so fun and so cute to like have all these bows. And so I kind of looked into how to make them. I started going through, my husband and I ended up trying to get pregnant it was 2.5 years total that we were trying to get pregnant before we actually conceived. We ended up going through fertility treatment, and according to the CDC, 7.5 million women in the U.S. struggle with fertility issues, and of those 7.5 million, 6.9 million end up using some form of fertility service. I was extremely grateful to have TRICARE because they covered the cost of all of ours. It's extremely expensive. I looked up some of the basic costs because I didn't need anything like super intensive. I just did like what was called basic fertility treatment, but like just like oral medication was anywhere from $10 to $100 for one cycle. If you had your like stuff monitored, which I did, like blood work and ultrasounds and stuff, that stuff for one cycle, which is typically a month, was $800 to $4,000 depending on like how much you have, and then also injectable medication, which I had that as well. One cycle averaged on $1,600 a month, so I was very glad to have TRICARE because they were really good for covering all of that. I started making the hair bows as just a way to kind of like keep myself distracted through that whole process of like just all the long months of like just all the lab work that I had to do and just everything. And it was just something fun for me. Like I've always been a really crafty person, so I found it really fun. And then I found myself with this overabundance of propose, and I'm like, okay, like, I would give them to my friends, or if they would, you know, want a certain color or something like that. And I found certain styles that I felt like I got more comfortable in and confident in making them. And so then I decided, like, I had a few friends that were like, oh, you should try to sell them. So I decided to go ahead and do that. And I did. I ended up setting up like a little online store, and I sold them for a little over a year. I stopped making them when I did become pregnant, and I found out I was having a boy. Like, it's not so like practical. So I did stop making them once I got into my pregnancy more, and I was just kind of like, well, I don't really have much of a use for these. My mom did have my little sister, right around the time I found out I was pregnant, so I did still make them and send them to her and stuff, but I just got super focused on my boy pregnancy and everything. So I still make them now though. Like, I have a daughter now, so I still, like, for holidays and stuff, I'm like, oh, she needs a Christmas bow or whatever. I'll make them, and I make them for friends and stuff like that when they want them for something. Yeah, so it seems like a lot of stuff. It's really not that bad. I did go ahead and like pre-cut some of the stuff just to try to make it a little quicker. You just need like different ribbons. The thicker the ribbon, the bigger the bow is gonna look. So I just brought different widths. I have the thicker ones to the thinner ones. And scissors. I use clothespins, which I'll show you before. You can either use like lighter or this stuff called fray check for the ends of the ribbon so that it doesn't fray. Dental floss or embroidery floss. Dental floss is cheaper, so just use that, and then whatever kind of clip you want to attach it to. Different styles in here. And then a glue gun and hot glue. And then you don't have to use them, but I have like little, like, these are really cute Christmas embellishment things, or just little like little stones and stuff you can glue on there for decoration. It's really hard to try to write out the steps to do this because it's like totally a visual thing. That's how I did a lot of my learning, was like YouTube videos and like online tutorials, because it's really confusing to try to like read out how to do it or write it out. But some people go by like they measure a certain length, but I just kind of try out different lengths. Then you like just fold it in half and find the center, and then you make like a figure 8 and keep the center. You loop one way, and then the other one will go the other way. This. And then you bring the loops to the center. This. And then use the clothespins. You do one this way. And one this way. Take a piece of floss or embroidery. Doesn't really matter. I usually do longer than I need. It just makes it easier. And then you put it in the center like this. And then you'll end up wrapping it around. You're gonna go to tie it. You pull it kind of quickly to like give it that scrunched up look in the center. Got it. And I usually do it a few times. Take clips off. And I forgot to mention, I had already done the ends. Like, you just, for the lighter or the fray stuff, I prefer the lighter just because it's quicker. But you just like quickly put the lighter over the ends to keep it from like the strings from fraying off the ribbon. And you can cut them to do different like tails. Like, you can see on the 5 different colors how they're like the different shaped tails. Like, you can make them all fancy. But so that's like the basic. And then you use a thinner ribbon. has like every color of the rainbow in these, and bigger, they're just solid colored ones to go with different outfits. And then when she was littler, I was obsessed with making these. These are called corker ones, and it's this kind of ribbon, but you wrap it around wooden dowels and you put clothespins on either end and you bake it in the oven, and it ends up making the ribbon like this. Once you unwrap it, it makes it like springy, and then you cut it and tie it, and so it makes little cute bows like this. And so I just have different like examples of ones that I made, and then like I said, you can hot glue these on just to add a little sparkle to it. And then there's just some pictures of ones that I made for my daughter. I made her a little Chicago Bears one. My husband's a Bears fan. That's her wearing the Halloween one. And that was this one I didn't make, but I'm obsessed with it. I ordered it for her online, and it says sparkle or glitter is my favorite color. It's like a huge one. It's like half the size of her head. And she's wearing the little corker ones there. And I think that bows, as much as like fashion trends change and styles change, I feel like hair bows or just bows in general are never going to go out of style. They might change in style, but there'll always be something that